It was just solidarity with my colleagues. It seemed as if more than a majority of my colleagues had joined the union. It seemed that there were some significant issues that they wanted to engage, and I shared those aspirations for them. And it seemed necessary because of the seemingly disenfranchisement of the faculty and with the administration. There was a great deal of tension there. And out of solidarity with my colleagues, I joined the union. I think the nature of the university has transformed to such a degree where a union was necessary in order to articulate and communicate the concerns of disenfranchised faculty with the administration, and just to create a forum, a channel of communication and someone to speak to that didn't necessarily have a hidden agenda, because it's hard as a faculty member to understand the machinations of Johnson Hall as it relates to one personally. And I felt that the union would provide that forum for conversation. And subsequently, I was proven correct. The union has proven to be a substantial force in expressing the needs of the faculty and the expectations of the faculty, and also communicating fostering a better relationship, I think, between administration and faculty, because it makes things more explicit in terms of expectations. All of us in the faculty, and I had been on this faculty for this is my 51st year. I think I'm the longest serving member in the university. And I've seen over the years this relationship deteriorate between administration and faculty. So part of the deteriorating relationship between administration and faculty was because of the just the lack of respect, I think, that happened, and the loss of collegiality, and the disintegration and corrupt dimension of having to be answerable to an ensemble of expectations that were never present, were never part of the persona of the University of Oregon. I'm not saying that it's not necessary or that it's not appropriate. It's just that the game changed. It was very different being a faculty member the last, 10 or whatever years than it was before that. And the competitiveness, the lack of collegiality, the lack of respect, the antagonism between faculty. It didn't seem like we were a team, and more like a group of individuals vying for recognition and reward. And I guess that's okay. That's the way the world is these days. It just wasn't what I bought into when I came to the University of Oregon and left Boston, left Philadelphia, left Chicago, because I didn't want to be part of that milieu. So it's that whole idea of capitalism and the idea of dog eat dog, and I don't care what happens to you. I mean, for myself. And yeah, the corporate model, and it just doesn't work at a university. It's nasty. They're times, I love this university like crazy. You know, I've been here, this is my 51st year. I came here as a kid, you know, a young assistant professor. I've been a full professor for over 40 years. You know, I've been really in the trenches teaching classes and training my students to be great landscape architects. And they are. They're out there. The proof is in the pudding. We've done a great job as a department. But it needs to be appreciated. This is not the business school or the law school. Compare the salaries at the school of AAA, the salaries of law school or the business school. A beginning assistant professor in the business school earns what I earn. And I've been on the faculty 51 years. As a full professor for 40 years. So, what does that mean? And how you're valued? It's humiliating. It's really nasty. But I hang in there, we all hang in there because of our love of teaching and our devotion to our students. So the union's going to fix that, I hope. I think the union, the members of the union that I've spoken with seem to be able to listen to your concerns. The union is a great listener. I'm not so sure what the union would be like in times of crisis, but it seems like it's begun to have an effect on the collective sensibility of the university, and in a positive way. And so I'm not necessarily for or against unions, but in this case I felt the union was necessary because the administration was not listening to the faculty and in some ways abusing the faculty. And I didn't like the kind of lack of respect, you know, and abuse and just humiliation that the administration was inflicting on a faculty that was suffering in ways that just didn't seem part of the 20th century. So that's why I joined the union. That's why I support the union. In some ways it's gotten worse. In some ways it's gotten better. But definitely we're in the midst of some big changes. And so hopefully it just gets better and better and not worse and worse. It's the faculty's fault. We haven't taken responsibility for this university. And it's being run by, you know, a pack of inept administrators who don't know what the hell is going on. And hopefully the union can fix it. Except, you know, who's a member of the union and who isn't? Certainly the premier administrators are not members of the union. And, you know, they're the culprits. They're the ones that are suffering. That's why we're suffering. And so what do? It's a us against them mentality. I don't like that. It's nasty. It's not healthy. I don't like looking at my dean as being evil. I'm not saying I do. I love my dean. But, you know, potentially it creates that kind of animosity. That's bullshit. Who needs it? My aspirations for the union fall in that realm of endeavors, acting on behalf of the faculty, ensuring a modicum of respect and support, and realizing that we're all not cut from the same mold. We're a School of Architecture and Allied Arts. I'm an artist. I'm a landscape painter. The projects that I've built in Jerusalem and Kyoto and Los Angeles, I mean, I'm a professional practicing landscape architect and somewhat of a scholar, but primarily a practicing academic whose work is exemplary and used as a role model for my students. And so we're cut from different cloths. We're not all the same. And being beholden to the American Association of Universities, there's AAU, I think that's the organization. Expectations, I think, is very, very healthy in some ways, but in some ways could be the tail wagging the dog. So that's my hope for the future, is that some good sense will breathe into this process so that we can all begin to respect and appreciate one another rather than being abusive. So that's where I'm coming from. I would not recommend anything to anyone about unions. I think it all has to be on a basis that's I think sui generis, one of a kind. Every university is one of a kind. But definitely it had to happen at the University of Oregon for the reasons that I've mentioned, that it just got out of hand. It was ridiculous. It was humiliating, embarrassing. I don't get it. And it's created a lot of bitterness. I'm certainly aware of that. So I don't know what to do. It's not healthy. It's not good. It's not a healthy place to be. We're not in a healthy place. I'm not saying we're on our deathbed or that we're sick beyond any, that we are still capable of healing ourselves and engaging this opportunity in a creative, thoughtful, nurturing way. But it's not happening now. It's nasty, and we need to fix it.